Good afternoon, everybody. This is the Lunchtime Devotion with Brian Wheeler, youth pastor up at Pleasant Grove Church and Free Will Baptist Church in Pikeville, North Carolina. I'm just coming at you today. Today is Thursday, June the 11th, and it is 12:45. And hey, this is what I want you. This is the Grove Youth YouTube channel. Tune in, subscribe to us, like this video, share this video with all your friends. This is just a little devotion to help. You know what? You may start watching it in the mornings. You may watch it on your lunchtime hour. This is my lunchtime hour. I'm at work here, and I'm taking my lunch, and I do my devotion in my lunchtime on my lunch hour, and I'm going to try to provide this video or this little clip for you on this lunchtime hour. So, as yesterday, we talked about Daniel chapter 3, and today we're going to talk about Daniel chapter 4. And in Daniel chapter 4, we still got King Nebuchadnezzar, and King Nebuchadnezzar is still having dreams. He's still having these dreams, but to start with, Nebuchadnezzar, he talks about, oh, how great God is, and he's a great God. So King Nebuchadnezzar knows that God is powerful, but there's one little issue. King Nebuchadnezzar has this pride about him. He has this arrogance about him. He has this air about him that he is the best. He is oh so wonderful. Nobody can be him. Nobody can be better than him. Not even God himself. He has got all that he has. Because at this time, you look back into the biblical history, in this time, King Nebuchadnezzar is the most powerful king in all the nations. He has overthrown the king of Judah. He has overthrown all the other kings, and he is the Babylonians are ruling the nation right now. He's the Babylonian king, and he is ruling all nations. He is the most powerful. He has the most powerful kingdom in all nations at this point in time. And he has this arrogance about him. I did this. I did this. You know, as a matter of fact, it says on down in I'll get to that in just a minute. But here, King Nebuchadnezzar has a dream. And he has this dream that this great big tall tree grows up into the heavens. It's big and it's strong. And it's got great big long branches. And it's full of green leaves. It's just beautiful. Wild birds are living in the branches. These other animals are living in the branches of it. And it's wonderful. And then all of a sudden this messenger angel comes down from heaven and sends down a message that says, chop down this tree, lop off its branches, but leave the stump. Take the stump and bind it down with steel, with brass. Bind it down to the ground. Keep it bound, but tow away with the rest of it. King Nebuchadnezzar wakes up and he's worried and he wants to know once again, what does his dream mean? He calls in for all of his astrologers and all of his magicians and all of these sorcerers, and he calls them into him and he asks them, and they can't interpret this dream. Daniel comes about and he calls Daniel over to him and he says, Daniel, what does this dream mean? Daniel takes that dream and he prays upon it and he meditates to God about it. And God gives him the interpretation of this dream. And he comes back to meet King Nebuchadnezzar and he says, Daniel, at this time, this young boy is sitting there thinking, how in the world am I going to tell King Nebuchadnezzar the meaning of this dream? The most powerful king in this nation. How am I going to tell this arrogant king? You know, he's the one that he built the statue like we talked about in chapter 3. He built this statue in honor of him and wanted everybody to bow down to him. And because my three friends, Meshach, Shadrach, and Abednego, because they didn't bow down, he threw them in a furnace. Of course, they walked out, but still, he is just that arrogant. So Daniel says, you know what? No, he lays all that fear to the side. He picks up his faith and he says, here we go. We're going to tell him. So Daniel goes to King Nebuchadnezzar and he says, okay, here's the meaning of your dream. Here's the meaning. This tree, this big tall tree that grew up into the heavens, it has all these nice green leaves on it, these big branches, and these wild birds and wildlife is living in the branches of it. That tree is you. And heaven is going to come down and they're going to take you out of rule because of all your arrogance, because of all your pride. They're going to take you down. And Daniel's like, I wish I did not have to tell you this interpretation. He said, I wish this interpretation was going to one of your enemies and not you. He said, but this is the interpretation. He said, so King, I beg of you, please humble yourself before the one true God. King Nebuchadnezzar says, okay, Daniel, okay, all right. He said, and you'll be taken out of rule, and you will live among the wildlife. You will munch on grass like the wildlife, and you'll do this for 7 seasons. King Nebuchadnezzar says, okay, Daniel, okay, all right. Thank you for your interpretation. And King Nebuchadnezzar acts as though I'm going to do better. And as he's walking out on the top of his castle one day, he's walking out on the flat roof and he looks out upon the Babylonian city and he says, look at this beautiful city. It's wonderful. I built this beautiful city. No one but me built this beautiful city. It's just wonderful. It's beautiful. It's magnificent. You got everything you want right here. And it's all mine. It's all because of me. You see the arrogance. The messengers from heaven came down and told him the same exact thing Daniel told him in his interpretation. And I'm going to wrap up here because my lunch break is coming to an end too. He told him the same thing, and Daniel chapter 4 says, within that same hour, King Nebuchadnezzar was stripped from his kingdom. He was pushed away and shunned from all mankind. And he was pushed out into the wilderness. And he went down on all fours and was eating grass. He lost his sanity. And he was eating grass like the cows do. He was down on all fours like the cows, eating grass like the cows. God said, you'll be like this until you realize that I am the one true God. And that the reason you were so powerful was because I give you that power, not you. You know, Daniel had a problem. Daniel didn't know how to tell this proud, arrogant king that if he didn't find humility really fast, he was going to join the cows in the pasture. Learning that God is totally in control over everything is a hard lesson for us. It's a hard lesson for everybody. It was a hard lesson for me. It's a hard lesson for you. It'll be a hard lesson for the next person, for the person sitting next to you. Let alone for a powerful king. Think about Nebuchadnezzar. He went from being in control to being on all fours eating grass with the cows. So it took a bit of grass chewing before Nebuchadnezzar actually learned his lesson. What will it take for you to get it? Maybe you don't have quite as much humility. Maybe you're working on it. Maybe you still have this arrogance. Folks, now's the time to get a little humility. Now is the time. We're living in the last days. Now is the time to get a little humility. We don't have anything God has it all. And the reason He allows you to take care of it is because you're a follower of Him. But if you are acting like you got this because you, and it's all about you, everything is about you, and look what I did, and look what I did. You know what? It's time for us now as mankind to stop and say praise God every minute. It's time for us to say praise God and thank you for all your many blessings. Because if it was not for God, we wouldn't have any of it. You wouldn't have the clothes on your back.